Welcome into another episode of the Overcome Adversity podcast. I'm your host, Michael Allison. Today's guest is Daniel Spencer. He's a power lineman by trade, and he also says he's a life coach by accident. Hey, Daniel, welcome to the show, my friend.
Hey, Michael, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Man, it's an absolute pleasure to have you here, Daniel, man. So you just said and told me that you're a life coach by accident. Can you tell us and share with us your story and your journey, man? Because I know you came from a blue-collar family to becoming a power lineman, and you went through this tragic accident, man.
Yeah, so I say I became a life coach by accident. So I've been in the power line trade for 20 years, and the last few years I was already into like a personal development journey, right? I was in the process of body transformation. Had been going to the gym for about 4 years steadily, lost about 80, 90 pounds. And people were asking me the whole time what my process was, right? How did I lose the weight? And I had a work accident. I didn't follow the procedure. Communication broke down. I didn't listen to my conscience.
Mm-hmm.
And I made a mistake, and I essentially blew myself up in an underground vault. And I had third-degree burns on my face and two skin graft surgeries. I was off of work for like 5 months. And during that time, I had a whole lot of self-introspect, right? Self-analyzing. I was scared to go back to work. And what could I do? Like, how to try and, at first it was like, how can I supplement my income or get away out of this line of work? Like, I was scared to go back. And so I hired a coach to try and help me with the process and how to help people do the same changes, right? Because in our trade, a lot of guys struggle with the same things that I had overcome, right? Alcoholism, obesity, stress. And that accident was like, this is my ticket to share my whole story, the complete story, how I overcame this self-doubt, um, this low self-esteem from the accident. So it was hard. It was hard at first, right? Because I had
Mm-hmm.
to be open and honest. I had to share my fears.
Mm-hmm.
I had to be relatable.
Mm-hmm.
So once I realized I had to share my story, man, like I just helped guys overcome, right? I share my story. They said that they're working different, they're eating healthier, they're working out more. Sobriety is a huge thing, right? When I get messages that guys are saying that they've been sober 3 days, 30 days, that's awesome. I just, ever since then, I was like, dude, you're a coach, right? You're helping these people. You're a life coach by that accident.
Right, right. So I think it's pretty remarkable, Daniel, that you actually survived this. You're the first person I've ever heard of like being electrocuted and actually living to tell that story. So if you can tell us about what was that like when you think when you retrospectively look at it and think about it, what was that like for you in that moment? Do you ever think about what was going on in my life? What was I thinking about? What was I processing for this to even happen to me? And in regards to like now you're taking some of those same concepts and principles in regards to the mistakes that you've made to help coach people now, because quite a few people that are listening to the show is going to be like, well, I'm probably going through life, going through the motion. I'm pretty stagnant in what I'm doing. I'm not living with a purpose and things like that. And could potentially just going by the life laissez-faire and not taking it much more intentional, much more purposeful, much more serious. Can you take us through what was going on in your life at that particular moment?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I can relate absolutely to those people that are struggling with those things, right? You're trying to just drifting, trying to figure things out, right? And we know what we're supposed to do, what is right, because our conscience tells us,
Hmm.
right? When we do things that are not in alignment with what our purpose is, we start to feel that guilt, that regret,
Yeah.
right? Um, so my frame of mind back then, um, I was all about helping myself, right?
Hmm.
I was building muscle, burning body fat, right? I was kind of uh, vanity muscles back then, right? Like egotistic, definitely, because when the exact moment of that accident happened, right before it happened, so what it, just to break it down, it wasn't actually, I wasn't electrocuted that accident. I was electrocuted in 2011, but that was just an explosion. It was just it's, thermal burns.
Right. Okay.
But right before um, I told the guys to close that switch and then it blew up, I had this thought in my head, right, where that higher power, the higher consciousness tells you, what you're about to do right now is not right because we broke procedure.
Mm.
Right? What you're doing right now is not supposed to be right. And if you did this, if I call for a box to stand on or something to put me in the right working position, this would alleviate the hazard. But then my ego kicked in, right? And it wasn't until recently I heard an acronym for ego is edging God out. Right? And that's what I said. I got this. I've done this before. But ultimately, I was in the wrong position. Communication broke down. Everything was, against us, essentially.
I see.
And then and so that was it, right? And now, when people come to me and ask me for help, what can I change? Well, let's just start off with self-actualization, right? That conscience, that regret, that's your guideline. Whatever makes you feel bad or regretful, that's what we need to change right away. And if it's the ego, if it's ignoring that call from above, then that's exactly what's going to get you tripped up every single time.
Most
Because then we
definitely.
think we know what we're doing. I've done this. I see these people do that. I got this. I don't need anybody. But we all need coaches, right? Like, for me to be able to help other people, I needed a coach. For me to be able to quit drinking, I needed a coach. When me and my wife are having problems in our relationship and our marriage, I've been married 20 years. I can't fix it all by myself. We can't fix it. We need a coach. So, seek help from other people that have gone through what you've been through.
Most definitely, man. Let me ask you this. What motivated you to start losing weight, to get on this weight loss journey? You said you lost over 140 pounds. What motivated you? And I say that because I'm someone that also struggled with my weight too as well. It was not until I had that self-actualization and starting to like be much more intentional and serious about my health and things around that. So what motivated you to get into developing that habit and be disciplined enough to do that?
I think at first it was definitely my children. It
Mm.
was my children and the fact that it wasn't all about weight loss at first, right? It was about sobriety. It was about sobriety. I was getting blackout drunk every night, every day. I'd leave work, go straight to the liquor store, drink on the way home, get home drunk. So it was that. And the fact that I was drinking so much, it was causing me to eat so much and causing me to gain weight. And looking at my children, and what am I showing them? And what am I presenting? Am I presenting normalcy to them? Like, am I saying this is okay? This is normal. When I'm upset, I can handle my emotions with alcohol. When I'm happy, I can, multiply them with alcohol. But really, it's not. It's detrimental to our health. It's detrimental to our way of thinking. So that's what has to stop right there. That was it. 13 years ago, 13 and a half years ago, I quit drinking. That's another pivotal moment, right? Because that was my rock bottom. I put people in danger. Nobody got hurt. Luckily, I didn't lose my job. Luckily. So I checked myself in a rehab, and that's when it started. Because once I quit drinking, I started eating, one of these trendy diets, and I started losing weight right away. I lost 60 pounds in the first year I quit drinking. So for me, that was awesome, right? It was cool, but I never worked out. It took a while. And I saw one of my friends who was heavier than me at the time, and he had lost over 120 pounds. And I was like, dude, that's what I want, right? So my inspiration came from one of my best friends. And, I saw him do it. So my wife and I, who, was overweight because of the habits that I'm bringing into the household, we both joined the gym at the same time, and we did a weight loss challenge, and we were crushing it, And from there, that was just over 6 years ago. Yeah. So.
So for the listeners that's listening, I think it's important for you to share that mindset of maintaining that and being consistent with that, because I think that's a tremendous feat that you and your wife has accomplished, man. Because to be sober for close to over or 13 years, as you just stated, and to lose that much weight, right? It takes another level of commitment to do that for so long and keep that. And for the person that's listening, man, that's getting up in the morning and they're struggling, for that person that's not in that mindset yet, or not in that space, and not had hit rock bottom yet, or they're waiting for that moment, they're waiting for that conversation, they're waiting for that example. What do you have to say to that person that's kind of like stuck right now, man?
I'm going to say, first of all, you have that conversation every single day when you wake up, right? You have that conversation with God because he tells you. But the minute you ignore it, that's where you fall back into the confusion, the regret, right? Just listen to that higher consciousness. And maybe you don't believe in God, or maybe whatever you believe in, there's a higher power that's directing you, right, to the 2.0 version of what you are right now.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't listen to that, then follow somebody, right? Follow me on Instagram. Uh, my Instagram handle is reps and double time, right? And I follow other people with the same mindset. Um, you know, like I said, uh, you know, find a coach, find somebody that's been there. There's a quote, I don't remember who said it, but it's I don't know, Marcus Aurelius, but it says, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. There's no room for growth. You're at the top of the chain,
Yeah.
right? Um, but for mindset, man, it just has to be consistent. You have to remind yourself, when it gets hard, I've already passed my hardest days, right? So I push myself every single day to get ready for that next test. Um, and having a partner with the same mindset, especially in the same house, it's definitely empowering. It's definitely empowering. If you don't have that, then, you know, find people either in close proximity or online. And that's what's great about this, right? Social media, networking, is that we don't have to be in close proximity to get in, the same circle. You know, read
How
books, journal.
I was gonna ask you, how has like your perspective on life and career changed now?
My perspective in life and career,
Yes.
um, just find the silver lining in it, right? Find the silver lining in everything. And I mean, honestly, we live in the greatest country in the world, right? And we make some of the most daily problems like our biggest hiccups, man. You know, but there's somebody else's paradise. Like, dude, we'll sit in traffic all day and complain about it.
Yeah.
Oh, so much traffic. Like, where are you coming from? You're coming from work, right? So you got a job and you're sitting in a car. So already you're winning so much more than everybody else, and
Right.
yet you're victimizing yourself because you have to sit there. Like, dude, if you don't like it, then find another way to make more money, because this is America, the greatest country, where we have that freedom. Yeah. I'm sorry if I went off topic here, but
No, that's fine. That's fine, man.
yeah.
Let me follow up with this. For yourself, I think about for myself, right? So when I was in Iraq, we got blown up by a car bomb, and mentally that weighed on me for years. So for yourself, going through what you've been through, can you discuss the mental health challenge that you face after going through this explosion, knowing that you were seconds away from death and you possibly could not be here right now?
Yeah. Oh, that goes back to that silver lining, man. Absolutely. We are our biggest critics, right? We are our biggest worst enemy, man. And that mindset was huge. So in 2011, I was electrocuted, right? I was
Mhm.
electrocuted, me and another guy, 2,700 volts went into my body. And back then is when I used to drink, and I was scared. I didn't want to go back to work. It messed with my confidence level, because I knew, again, what the right thing was, but I didn't speak up. So I drank, right? And there's plenty of resources out there. There's free resources online. Our employer offers resources for counselors, medical benefits, everything, right? But I didn't take it because I told myself, you got this. And what have we been always told when we were kids or when we were younger, right? You just suck it up, you push it
Suck it
down,
up.
and you get back in there, right? Yeah. But we're never really told how to deal with it internally. Maybe mom and dad didn't know either. So that after the second accident, I used the gym as my my escape, right? Because alcohol was absolutely out of the picture already. So I went back into the gym. I'd wake up with a nightmare in the middle of the night, and I'd go and I'd work out and I'd work out, and I'd close my eyes and be like, dude, this pain is not as bad as when you were blown up, right? And time stopped, it slowed down. I sought therapy. This time I went and I found a therapist, right? And I used 8 sessions for free, and then I continued it on over into to get picked up through my medical benefits, and it's essential, you know. And that's why I tell guys that they ask me, dude, like, where do I start? Like, how much should I eat? How much should I weigh? I go, dude, it starts here, right? You have to break the mental chains here, because once you unlock the mind, the body comes free.
Right.
So I found a therapist, and I figured out how to work all these things, right? When it went bad, what went right? Right? Don't victimize yourself so much. Find the silver lining, because now I'm sharing my story. And now guys are asking questions about what kind of PPE I was wearing, what was the voltage, right? Hey man, I appreciate it. You know, now I'm changing the way I work. I'm gonna wear an extra layer of PPE, or extra, layer of clothing, or a second eyes, ask for help again. And that was one of the things when I asked one of the guys, I was in the hospital, how's everybody doing? And they go, dude, everybody's bummed out. But it kind of raised the awareness again on the importance of communication and following procedure and what we do. So that right there was the silver lining for me. And people are like, dude, this sucks. This is unfortunate. But like I said, I became a life coach by this accident. So now it just trickles, right? And how many people am I helping lose weight, or even quit drinking, or even just read a book again? Right? And even if, so at the very most for me, they stopped drinking. Now they're breaking that mental chain. They're breaking that generational curse, right? Because that's what we saw, and what we take in, we're going to put out. But it has to stop. It could stop here, and for our lineage, for our next generations.
Let me ask you this now. So, for the person that's listening to this podcast, right? What advice would you give to a person that's struggling with addiction, or that person that is constantly waking up every single morning and is having limiting beliefs and negative self-talk? Because I often find that we are the ones that's buying what we're selling ourselves inside of our head.
Yeah. I would say, I mean, people say meditate, right? You wake up in the morning, you meditate. I call it prayer. To me, it's the same thing, right? You're asking for help from a higher power, or you're seeking guidance, right? Meditation, prayer is the same thing. Do that. Journal. Write it down if you can. And just know that you're not the only one that's been there, right? Like, that's why I share it. That's what my coach told me. Dude, you have to show everything. You and your lady get in an argument, dude, guys need to see that, because you've been married 20 years and they're on the verge of divorce after 5. Gotta be honest. And it's hard. Gotta be vulnerable. Right? Don't be scared to ask for help at any level. I have coaches still. Yesterday I had a coach meeting that I had to skip out on, because me and my wife had to see a coach, right, to help strengthen our bond, our relationship.
Right. You got to pour into your relationship, pour into yourself first too.
You have to pour into yourself first, right? Absolutely.
Yeah.
You fill your cup, you fill it over, and then it can spill into everybody else's, right?
Exactly.
And we say it's in our safety rule book, right? The role of the employee is to protect yourselves, your coworkers, and the public. And I always say in that order. And it's just like when you're in an airplane and the oxygen mask comes down. They say you put it on yourself first.
That's right.
And so then you can help somebody else. Absolutely.
Speaking of vulnerability, what lessons have you learned about vulnerability and the importance of personal growth for yourself, man?
Huge, right? Because once you're vulnerable, like, it's such a freeing thing. Like, I did this and I'm ashamed of it. But once you let that off your chest, right? You get it out into the air. It's like all this weight's off your back. It's huge, right? It's like it's like I said, it's freeing. When I quit drinking, that was one of the hardest things for me, was to go around friends and family, and when they would ask me if I wanted to drink, I would say no. Well, why? What's going on? And then finally, after like an hour and a half of 4 no drinks, dude, what's going on? I had to open up the shame, right? Like,
Mm.
hey, I have a drinking problem. I had to check myself into a program, right? Because I'm not strong enough internally to say no. That vulnerability, man. Once I did that, it was just easy. Nah, man, I got a drinking problem. Honestly, I'm just gonna be honest, right? And then people resonate with that. They're like, damn, dude, he's honest. I thought he had it all together, but he didn't. And then a year after of just being honest with everybody, a year after, my brother calls me, like, bro, I just checked myself into a program. Right? Then it's worth it. Like that shame, that vulnerability, like it pays off. And when I started coaching, I hired a guy, paid him a lot of money to show me what to do, what apps to use, how to post on Instagram. And people are like, dude, what are you doing? Like, you trust this guy? You just gave some stranger on the internet a bunch of money? Yeah, I did. Do you have any clients yet? You making any money back? No, I'm not. But I'm getting messages from so many people, man, saying that I'm an inspiration and I'm helping them. I'm like, me? Dude, I used to drink and drive every day. I used to steal things from people out of their cars. Like, I used to just, inspiration. Wow. My heart's full, right? When your heart's full and you do it for free, your bank account it'll catch up.
Yeah.
But that's not why we do it. We do it because that's our purpose. Like you said, what's our purpose? Once you find that purpose, man,
Hey
it's
man,
going.
Daniel, like you I could hear the emotions that's in you for like the transformation that you had in your life. I I want you to answer this for me, man. Looking back, based off where you're at now today, and seeing the transformation within yourself to the point of now you're, like you just mentioned, you're posting on social media, you're public speaking, you're doing podcasts, you're now changing people's lives and making an impact in their lives, man. Can you talk about what is it that you're hoping for the future in regards to what's next to come for yourself, seeing from where you came from, man?
um to just continue to become wiser, really. um I mean, try not to make the same mistakes, right? Because even, yeah, like 20 years of marriage, and I might say the same wrong thing over and over, right? But trying to make those same mistakes, like never stop learning, right? Consistently growing. um, where I want to be, I mean, and that's what's hard, right? Because when I first started coaching, I'm comparing myself to these other guys that are raking in dough, right? And it's like, oh yeah. But then it's like, dude, that's not your timeline, right? That's not where you're supposed to be. Why? Maybe I can't handle all that money. Maybe it's not supposed to fall into my lap yet, right?
Mhm.
Um, but I just want to be able to say, uh, when I take my last breath, uh, there's a line of people waiting to get up and talk about stuff that I did right.
Mhm.
He helped me out. He was tired. He didn't have nothing left, but he still gave to me. He still helped me out. That's what I want, right? I want my kids to be proud. I want my wife to be proud. They always say we want our kids to do better than us, man. Well, that's what I'm trying for, right? I'm trying to do better than my dad, my mom. I want my kids to be better than me. I want everybody else's families to do the same thing, right? Because we all struggle with the same, like I said, same problems, and we all think we can't get through it. I just want to be.
So, let me ask you this question. When you, 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 when you when you think about like your
There's people when they spend their last breaths, right? There's people that die in peace, people that die in regret. People that die in peace, like they've done everything. You know, they're there. And people that die in pain, they die with regret.
Mhm.
I could have done so much more. Maybe I could have helped so much people. Maybe I shouldn't have been so selfish. Man, I want to die in peace, bro. I want to die in peace.
Let me ask you this. I remember you had said earlier that you made that pivotal moment in your life because of your kids. What do you think that, or how do you think they look at dad now, man, knowing that dad has changed his life? He's now helping other people based off the transformation that he has made. What has the impact you think you made on your kids now, man?
Definitely more conscious about maybe hopefully what they're putting in their body or what they're inputting into their minds. First of
Mhm.
all, you know, um, looking at dad and be like, no matter how hard it gets, like we can overcome anything. Um, Dad's gonna fight for us. He's gonna be there. He's gonna fight for my mother, and he's willing to stand up for other people. And that takes courage. It's something I never had. Confidence. I wouldn't even stand up for myself. Honestly.
When you think about it, Daniel, and you've made an impact in so many people's lives. For our listeners that's listening, is there one story that you could share that you just look back and was like, man, I did that. I had that impact on that one person, and I did not know I have that much power within me to help change somebody's life.
Dude, I can't answer that. I wish I could.
Hmm.
I mean, because we can make a huge impact at the smallest level.
True.
You could walk by a stranger on the street and just smile and say hello. And, that person might have just been walking down the street and be like, dude, if nobody even acknowledges my existence, I'm gonna walk in front of the end, right? So I mean, just at the smallest level,
Hmm.
um, just try and be the best you can, um, because you never know who. For me, the pivotal moment, man, I would say, I don't know. There's so many. I can be happy with myself and be like, my son has never seen me with a drink in my hand. Uh, my brother, I got my brother. I'm not saying I got him to, but being an example of him, to quit
Hmm.
drinking. Now his kids, I'll never see him with a drink. We never know how big of an impact we make, right? We
Yeah,
never
I
do.
love I love it, man. Leading by example is always one of the best way when it comes to like your type of leadership. And I think it's resounding to know that the impact that you've made. As we get ready to wrap up and close, man, can you leave with our audience? What are some lessons? What are some key takeaways that people could take away from your life that they could start implementing today and taking action into their lives, man?
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, lead by example, right? And that's why I do it every single day. Like I get up really early in the morning at 2:45, and I post my wake up time, and then read, I journal, I post a workout, I show my work life, I show some food. Because what are our biggest excuses? I don't have time because I have a wife, I have a job, I have family. I don't know what to eat. If eating healthy is your thing, I don't know how to work out. I don't know what to work out with. If becoming stronger or losing weight is your thing, so I post it every single day. Um, and find help. I think I missed the question, dude. I'm so sorry.
No, it's fine, man. That was good. What are some key lessons? What are some key takeaways that people could take from your experience and
Yeah.
implement in their lives, man?
We all struggle from the same things. And like I said, I'm no better. I grew up. My parents were divorced. Right? How many people suffer from divorce? How many broken homes?
Right.
How
A
many
lot.
children that are lost? We're out there, right? There's help out there. There's plenty of us that have struggled with this. Some of us are just not brave enough to share it yet, and that's okay. Ask questions. Message me. If I'm not the right one for you, I can help you out. I can guide you into somebody else's, line of genius.
Mm-hmm.
But just don't be afraid to ask, right? Because the minute we're afraid to ask, we're gonna think we're gonna figure it out, and we're gonna be spinning our wheels, man, and we're gonna be stuck. We're gonna be stuck. Just definitely ask for help. Hit me up, Reps and Double Time on Instagram, Facebook, Daniel Spencer, same thing.
Well, Daniel, it's been a pleasure to have you on the Overcome University podcast show, man. Thank you so much, my friend.
Hey, Michael. Hopefully, I was able to help out, and if we can change one person, man, we can change 1,000. Let's go.
I agree with you, man. Until next time, guys. Thank you for listening to this episode, and God bless.
Ain't it all? Couple dollars in my pocket, no income and go. Been working on my body, getting healthier. Thank God for clarity.